Hello? Anybody out there? Happy Monday to you. I'm ready to draw. Especially buckling in. Last night I went to bed late. We did that Halloween or a trunk or treat event at my brother-in-law's church, and that was fun. Took some photos, dressed up like a guy from the future. So it was fun. A lot of kids, probably hundreds of people going through. But it was like a walkthrough. It was like a time machine thing that we did. So it was fun. Did that with Becky. She had a blast. I just did her makeup. She did like a gem style makeup on her face, on her eyes. I don't know if you heard of Gem and the Holograms from the 80s cartoon. That was fun. We had fun. I put some silver like hair color in my hair and like a streak down the center, which is still in there. I still have to wash it out. But yeah, it was fun. Hey, Geek of the Week. First place. First comment. Thanks, man. Good to see you. How you doing? Here, let's see. I got my little icon. I'm going to put my... There we go. Now you can see my workstation here. Yeah, Jerica. So you know. Jerica. It's Showtime Synergy. That's her tagline, right? Yeah, we started watching that. Becky bought like the first season. I was good. We just like did that little event and at the church, and like I said, hundreds of people were there, and a lot of funny costumes too coming through. Some really crazy stuff. But yeah, it was fun. We had a good time. Actually, got a little bit of candy. We didn't eat the whole time, except we did have a slice of pizza right before we started. But it was so busy for like 3 hours, roughly, a little more than 3 hours. We were nonstop busy. Let's see here. I'm gonna take. I'll leave that up there, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna open up file. I think if you guys, I was on Jason's live stream, and I finished up some pages on his live streams on a different YouTube channel, Illustration by Design, which is a link is in the description, so you can actually subscribe to him. He does comic art as well. He does his own comics with the recent one was with Nasser, and yeah, he does. He was doing a Black Panther piece for Inktober, I think it was the last day of Inktober, one of the last days. But here, I'll show my file that I got. Was it modded? Here we go. PSD. You know what? I'll go to JPEG. There we go. So this is a finished page for 32. So this is what I was working on, I believe, last time. And there is Quick, our first little appearance there. Also, let me know if the music is a little too loud. I'm going to turn it down for you. Let's see, modded. I actually don't work in photo. I put PSD because I want to preserve all the layers. But it's Clip Studio format. But I just write PSD on the file folder, so just so I know what it is. It's layers. So this is the next page. Is page 33. I'm getting close to the champion squaring off against the main protagonist here. And the champion is the antagonist. He's the baddie. So let's see. Maybe. Here we go. Hey, Jiminy. Yes, I was cheating on everybody. That's funny. Yeah, if you have time, you're not busy, you can jump in. I'm only be on for maybe an hour, but I sent you a link, and yeah, I kind of started late today. Like I said, I got a late start this morning, and I went to bed late, and I didn't even wash that silver dye out of my hair. It's like this gold, silver, metallic. I got frosted tips. Never thought I'd say that. Oh yeah, I just saw your comment, Geek of the Week. The gem, the love triangle between herself and or her own boyfriend. Yeah, like she's just no. What's funny is I said told Becky, I go, isn't really Miley Cyrus? They copied basically kind of copied off Gem for Hannah Montana. You know, in a way, the concept, at least part of the concept. Yeah, I don't know if I can. Here, let me see. See if I can show that my hair without showing me. Hmm. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. I'll try to see if I can show it. See, here we go. Let's see. Here we go. Here we go. Here goes the camera. Let's see. There we go. Can you see it? Look at that. It's pretty crazy. It doesn't. It looks like a lot lighter than it does on the camera here, but you can kind of tell. Look at that. Pretty crazy, huh? Yeah. What things that I do for love. No, I had fun too. It was a fun experience. Yeah, it's funny. Is it when you see it in person? It looks really metallic looking, and then because my hair is black, it does look like it naturally has when it reflects light. It looks like it's already that type of like color. But yeah, it's yeah. Thanks, Melissa. I had like a cyborg type was a mask, like a little silver face plate on the side of my face. Hey, Amy and Melissa are here, the Lester sisters. Good to see you both. See, next time, do blue so you can be Rico. That's funny. So let's see here. Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was like we didn't really have like lines given to us what to speak, or we played the part of like supposed to be in the future that we had to guide the kids through this time machine experience. we were supposed to be in the future, so we dressed up, and I put silver in my hair and a face plate, and I think kind of freaked some kids out because everything's all cutesy. And then when it got to our little like section, we had this smoke room. It was like all smoke and had sci-fi robots and everything in it. And I was like, "Come this way if you want to save Toby." And then I realized, do I look like the Terminator with half of this my face? I had like a leather jacket zipped up with it. It looked like I had wires and everything wrapped around the arms and like these weird little speaker things in the shoulders. And at first, like, whoa! Some kids were afraid to enter in the room. But then what I did is I opened up the our section, and then I would back up and point to the screen. They had a giant screen, so it was like an amusement park, experience, like where you just walk in and people talk to you on the screen. But we gave them a little bit of character interaction, but not too bad for a low-tech experience. But yeah, we did it man. Every it lasted about maybe 3 minutes to 5 minutes for our section, and we did it like right after it ended. We had to start up again in another minute, so we did it for 3 hours nonstop. My hat's off to the people who work for amusement parks doing that type of stuff for 8 hours. So I'm not like super big into Halloween, but I mean, as a kid, I used to go out and get the candy. My dad was like, as Christians, he's like, well, we don't celebrate Halloween, but I don't see why you can't get candy. As a kid, miss out on getting candy. So he would take us, like, we go to our church for like it's kind of like a trunk or treat type of thing, but it was indoors. And then he would take us to afterwards. He would take us to the neighborhoods, and we get like tons of candy, man. And then of course we look through it and check it out, make sure it's okay, and then we do our pray over it, and then we'd eat. And then of course my dad would get his cut for taking us around. I mean, we would have like pillowcases full of just like mountains of candies, but it was like good stuff too. But my dad was like, yeah, we don't celebrate it, but I don't see why you got to miss out on having some candy, But looking back, I probably could have done without the candy because, yeah, I had to visit the dentist a lot as a kid. Hey, Christina Lynn, Andrew Hayes, welcome. Happy Monday to you guys. Yeah, Jimmy. Hey, Amy, does Jimmy have a lot of candy, huh? Let me see. Did I miss his post? Hey, Jeff Potts. Good to see you, too. Yeah, Christina. It's funny. Is he? Yeah, he would just drive and drop us off to these really, really nice neighborhoods so that we could just pile up on the candy. But it's funny. I had dressed up like was it Joseph in as his coat of many colors. I had that outfit on. It was from the church event, and then I just took it and went around. And it's funny, is people knew who I was. Like when I was going around, like, oh, you're Joseph. I'm like, wow. They got it. I was like surprised. But we dressed up like after that, we would dress up like military characters, or we would create our own costumes. We never really dressed like any particular character. We just made our own stuff because we just thought of it as a time to like be creative. So we'd make our own costumes from scratch. It was fun. That's the part to me that was the funnest thing. See, you hand out snack cakes. See, to trick or treaters every year. Oh, snack cakes, Swiss rolls, unicorn cakes. Oh wow, yeah. See, that's what I would like that too. Of course, to people probably in your neighborhood who know you, right? I mean, because we had a neighbor who they would set up a table for the parents where they had coffee and donuts. And that was pretty cool. Or even apple cider. See, oh Andy, you didn't have any kids, huh? No kids at my doorbell last night, but maybe I did actually. I haven't had any candy for them. Oh, you didn't have candy. You heard the doorbell ring once while I was having a conversation with a friend. I was wondering if, because you're living in apartments, we never had any trick or treaters um, in our apartments. I mean, once actually we did have one. Threw us off because we didn't have anything. We usually leave the porch light off. Yeah, Nutter Butters, man. Nutter Butters, good. But yeah, we did last night after we got back. We watched a movie because, like I said, I'm not into horror stuff, but I do like certain movies that some people might consider horror. But we watched Critters. Have you guys ever seen that from the '80s? That one is, it's not really horror. It's more like it's a sci-fi and comedy, and it's like I guess horror elements in it, but it's sci-fi and action, and that one is a little. It has some scenes in it again where people, because critters are creatures that eat anything and everything and everyone, and they're really small, hairy, roll around, but they have big mouths with sharp teeth, and so they do like, I think in a couple of scenes that bite a guy's fingers off or something, but it's not like, I don't think it's super graphic, not compared to like today on some things, but it's creative graphic where it does make you does still make you cringe, kind of like nails on a chalkboard type of thing, you know. Oops. That's the thing when you work in digital. One thing you got to remember is to be very careful to check your work, because even if you save, because I've accidentally deleted a layer without knowing I deleted it, and it was like a half hour, an hour had passed of working on the page, and I looked down and I'm like, no, where'd the layer go? So I had to redraw. That's the worst feeling, but you definitely got to check, look up once in a while from your workstation, because you get in the zone of working on like one panel and you're like, oh, that was bad. I just deleted this work without even knowing it. You accidentally hit a key. Like the hotkey for an eraser, if you want to get an eraser like I'm using right now, you push E. But I accidentally pushed like a different, I think I pushed E, like, I don't know if it was for erase or something. It didn't work out the way I wanted to, erased it. I might have put Control E, which usually is merged down. And see, I don't want these background characters to have real distinct features, so I probably should make the guy in the foreground that'll have some eyes, because it's going to be a little creepy, I think, to people. They might say, these guys are zombies. I just don't want to draw too much attention to them because they're not main characters, so. But it does look a little creepy with no eyes on the close up, so I'm going to remedy that. Let's see. I'm gonna check your. Wait a second. Check your comments here. Cute costume as candies for children. Yeah, who would object to that? That's what I say. I mean, I can see why people, Christians, don't want to celebrate it, because I totally understand. Especially today, it seems like it's. I mean, because it's people say the harmless part of it's just dressing up, going to parties, getting candy and food. But then there's another side of it where there actually are witches and Satanists who do celebrate it for different reasons. And I mean, that's true because I've seen it. I've known people who were into that stuff. So it's really considered them like a holiday, a sacred holiday. But so I can understand from that standpoint as Christians, and like, but then my dad, he understood, but he was also like, your kids, you want candy, your kids. And I want your candy too. So he took us around. So I can understand, you know, it's a balance. I think you got to be careful, I guess, with that type of stuff. But there's a balance for everything, right? You watch Monsters on TV. Oh yeah, the Monsters. Yeah, the Monsters, man. I like that show too. I also like that we were just talking about Adam's Family, the original ones. We were watching a clip of that last night. Christina, yeah. And then see, Andy says you don't answer your doorbell when it rings at the apartment building. Keep in mind, my next door neighbor might be some hit woman from a mod or something. I know what you mean. Like you look through the eye hole and then someone's like shoots right through the eye hole. You know, like you see in the movies, that paranoia sets in after you watch those scenes. I think it was like a movie from, well, the professional that he put the gun to the door when he's looking through the eye hole. And then also in the movie with Van Damme and Lance Hendrickson, it was called Hard Target. One of the character bad guy, it's like a flunky gets assassinated through the door eye hole because he looks through the eye hole and the guy just like shoots him. That's pretty brutal. Can't get that out of your brain after you see that. Love granola bars, right? Yeah, kids love granola bars. I think they would. Oh, your niece and nephew don't like granola bars. That's weird. Y'all might have eyes. The Monsters, yeah, the Monsters. The black and white show was kind of like the Addams Family, right? But it was like the Frankenstein father and the mother was the Bride of Frankenstein. Then they had a wolf boy kid, and the grandfather lived with them. He was like a vampire. And then they had one blonde daughter who was just like the average, the normal looking one. She wasn't average. She was like a model, but she was considered the ugly black sheep of the family, I guess. Jiminy. Are you kidding, Amy? The Monsters. Hey, not everybody knows the Monsters. The Addams Family, they made live action movies. What was it in the '90s? So, but they never did anything with the Monsters, as far as I know. Maybe they did. Yeah, the Monsters. It's kind of like a mix between Addams Family and the Beverly Hillbillies, and that type of funny, show they used to have back in the day. I love the Beverly Hillbillies, man. That one, even looking back at it, I was shocked about how like funny the show was. Still, some of the humor went over my head as a kid, and then I'm older. I'm like, I got some of the innuendo and stuff. It's pretty funny. Oh, there was their niece. Okay, Marilyn was the monster's niece. She looked like a blonde bombshell, but she was, even herself. She considered herself not that attractive because she wasn't monster material, right? Yeah, All Hallows Eve. Yeah, Melissa. It's Cat Holly next honor. Yeah, it's there's people like I said. There's different meanings and celebrations. And I know, like I said, that all the Hallows Eve, Saints Eve, or something like that. I heard a term similar to that. But I knew I have a friend who I grew up with, and later on in her life, she became a witch, and so, and yeah, that got pretty ugly. I had to block her on Facebook, um, because, well, I just didn't want her looking into my affairs, and plus she got pretty hostile towards me, to no surprise. But yeah, but they celebrate that stuff, and she was posting up things. But no, I can see, going back to Halloween, I can see the appeal, you know, for people, for kids and stuff. Oh, the screen went dark here. Wait a second, what's going on? There we go. That's better. I can see the appeal though, because it's fun, like, dressing up and just, I mean, people do it at Comic Cons for a reason, because it's fun. They like to enjoy it. So, I mean, getting candy, dressing up and around with your friends, and watching movies. So that's my take. Growing up, I'm not like a horror fan or anything, like I said, but we would watch movies like, you know, Gremlins or 80s movies, which were still kind of creepy. I guess that's not really a Christmas movie. It does happen during Christmas, but everyone considers it Christmas, because I said, hey, why don't we watch Gremlins? And I'm like, that's a Christmas movie. And I'm like, really? But then I said, how about Critters? And they're like, all right. And Becky's not into horror movies either, which is, it's good for both of us. Hey, Josh. Been doing good. Went to bed, went to sleep late. Good seeing you last night. And that was really good. I had some of the candy. We had Reese's. I love the Reese's peanut butter cups. Oh, man. That's more kryptonite. Yeah, Costas candy. I mean, those are all like words that are definitely, they're definitely considered fun, right? In the fun category. But that's what I said. When I have kids, if I have kids, when I have kids, I'm definitely going to like let them know our stance on Halloween and everything, and know that we want to have fun, but we're not celebrating all this stuff. And like I said, I think having an alternative too for them, where they can dress up and go to church for trunk or treat or something like that. I mean, I don't think too many people do trick or treat nowadays anyway. I mean, at least, like I said, they don't come to our neighborhoods. So I think a lot of people do that, take their kids to the mall or do something where they have some type of more of a safe environment. But back in the day, man, we were kids. We would go to these random neighborhoods, houses. We didn't know who they were, but getting the candy and dressing up was fun. Oh, you're backstage, Jiminy. Sorry, hope you weren't back there too long. Yeah, Die Hard is technically a Christmas movie. You know what? We watched it on Christmas. Jiminy.
Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Are you there?
I'm here.
All right, cool. I'm gonna try and put on. I need to get my headset in so I can hear you. Or you know what?
Can you hear me?
Because
can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I think I have to have the music in the background to show my headset.
Am I coming through? Red rum. Red rum.
See,
how you doing, Matt?
Halloween's over.
I'm getting ready for next year.
Yeah.
Early.
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. We haven't really. Halloween seems to be like dead now. for at least trick or treaters. I mean, like you said, when we were kids, it's like we'd always go trick or treating. I've lived here for over 20 years. I haven't had one person knock on my door to trick or treat over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like people don't let their kids go out anymore. I mean, or if they do, I mean, I went trick or treating with my wife's nieces and nephews maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
About 15 years ago, but they live in a close community. They live in like a sort of like a fancy community. So they went to their neighbors' houses, but outside of that, I don't see kids walking around knocking on doors, around here. And I live in a nice neighborhood. We live in a nice neighborhood, but it's they just don't do it. When I went to church yesterday, the kids were dressed up, after services and stuff, and they were playing around and everything, but it wasn't. I mean, that's not really trick or treating. That's just that's a very sort of controlled environment. So I think that like you said, they might do it like in mall settings, or was it called trunk or treat?
Trunk or treat. Yeah, you go. They have their back of the cars decorated in the parking lot where it looks like whatever theme they want to create.
Yeah.
They just come by and they trick or treat to each car. And some of the designs were really nicely done. The trunks. I mean, they made like one look like it had a whole like lawn, like graveyard and all this stuff.
Really? Oh, wow.
And everything around the car. But yeah, it's not the same like you just go into people's houses, random neighborhoods,
Yeah. Because I mean, the fun part was that you knock on people's houses, and you didn't know if they were a serial killer or not. You just like knocking their house. It's like maybe get a trick, maybe get a treat, maybe you get tricked and like end up in someone's barrel in their basement. You never knew.
That was part of the fun. That was always the fun exhilaration, right? You could almost
exactly. Will we actually get home in time? When we eat the candy, will there be nails or needles inside? We don't know. It's part of the fun.
Yeah, it's part of the fun. It's the excitement, kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as kids, we were a little more hardcore. I think we had that.
Yeah, it's much cooler.
We took risks.
Like, exactly. That's why we grew up tough. We're not all weak and soft like kids are nowadays.
Yeah.
Crying all the time.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's like I was we were at Baskin Robbins, and we were sitting down outside eating our ice cream, and Becky and I seen like three kids roll up on their bikes, and they were probably like 11, 12, maybe 10, 11, 12, and they had bicycle helmets on, and I'm like, and I'm like, what are these kids wearing bicycle helmets? I was saying to her, they couldn't hear me, but I was like, look at this. We didn't wear bicycle helmets for our kids, and we were building ramps. Like
our hair was our bicycle helmet.
Yeah, I know we're building these ramps, these ramps that were like just scrap
out of old plywood with nails sticking out of them.
Yeah, we were ramping with no helmets on. We were jumping skateboards and stuff.
Exactly, we were jumping each other.
Yeah,
now our friends lie on the ground, we jump them.
Yeah. And this is the funny thing is, right when I said that, one of the kids on the bike was standing on the bike. He fell over and smacked his head into the glass, but he had his helmet on. And I was like, okay. It's like he needs the helmet.
These kids need helmets. We didn't need them. We were smart enough not to do that. Or at least if we did that, then it's just part of it's just part of Darwinism.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest.
We just rub our noggins and like move on.
That's how you weed out the weak stock in a generation. You have them ride bikes without helmets, and whoever survived to teenager status, they moved on to create the next generation.
Yeah.
What's this generation called? It's not millennials. They're called what? They're called Generation Z or something.
Is that what it's called now? Generation Z?
I don't know, whatever they're called, but that all of them are surviving. No matter how clumsy they are. So. This is gonna breed like even weaker kids. We're gonna end up with the same population they had in WALL-E, that CGI cartoon from about a decade ago. where everyone's like really fat and out of shape, and they can't even move on their own. They're all on sort of floating chairs as they
Yeah,
stuff their faces. That's where we're headed to, because they didn't weed out all the clumsy weak kids, when by not giving them bicycle helmets. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's funny. It's like that's what I'm saying. Is like someone made that comment about that the Wally, where like we're kind of headed, where we're all just sit there and watching Netflix, and when they had that whole lockdown, like a lot of people I know on like Facebook and stuff, man, they gained a lot of weight. They just sat there, never leaving the
yep.
house, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa. And
Yeah.
and it's funny. I kind of did the opposite. I actually got in better shape because I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, I'm like I gotta survive this apocalypse, man. So I'm gonna
That's
get
true.
fighting shape. So I started
Gotta
working out.
work on your cardio.
Yeah,
If
and
you're
I'm
gonna
eating
run from the
healthier.
man, if you're gonna go off grid and run from the man for the rest of your life, you have to have good cardiovascular health. So
Yeah, was it like the was that Zombie Land where he's like the
yeah,
different rules he had? Cardio was one of
exactly.
them.
3 different rules. Yeah, exactly.
Double tap cardio. Where he's running, he drops his keys to get in the car, and zombies are chasing him, and then he just leaves the keys and takes off running around the parking lot once, comes back and tries to get the keys. He's got to do it a couple times before he can. He's like, see cardio.
That's funny. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah,
Probably scaring. I'm sorry.
interesting times.
Yep. So good old days. They're long gone now, unfortunately. Dagnabbit. Um, but so what you do for? You said what you did for Halloween. You and Becky
Yeah,
went out to
yeah, we went
what
out.
what'd you go to? What was it?
It was a church. It was like a trunk or treat type of thing where they had
Oh,
giant
okay,
like a festival where they had food and the
cool.
trick or treat. And then they you watched was it the Great Pumpkin, Charlie
Oh, that's
Brown
nice.
movie. They had that on the big screen outside.
Oh, great.
And, being out in Cali, it's all warm, so they had
Yeah.
that playing. People had lawn chairs. They had like a astroturf type of like you know
Uh-huh.
like
Right.
front next to the church where kids play. So they had that out there, and
Uh-huh.
people had blankets
Cool.
and stuff. And then we had the time machine, which is what I was a part of, the attraction ride. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
it's a ride, but a walkthrough.
Right. Yes.
So that was
Yes.
fun.
Cool.
And
Oh, very
it
good.
was like last minute. We didn't know exactly what we were going to do. They did a quick run through, and they go, "This you're going to be right here in this section." And people come
Mm-hmm.
in, you greet them, tell them to help save Toby or whatever. And then there was a
Yes.
puppet dog, on the screen that he was like trapped in a time loop, So they had to, go through each one, and it was
That's
like a
cool.
really active. Was it? They had them interactives. We had to guess little
Uh-huh.
clues and stuff.
Oh, neat.
And then,
Now,
yeah.
was the whole Toby thing, was that created by your church, or was it something that an organization created and then different churches showed it?
No, it was created just by that one church. It was
Oh, cool.
Becky's brother is a youth pastor at the church.
He
So
played he played Toby.
no, he's himself but he wore
Uh,
like a lab coat in the video, and
oh, cool.
but the dog is like it's basically it's an ex or retconned McGruff, the dog, crime dog,
Ah, cool.
puppet, right? It's a puppet, and so they
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
put a new shirt on him. And so Becky did the art. She did like the logo for the
Oh,
banners,
neat.
and my brother also worked on art for them for the sci-fi
Oh, great.
banners. And
Very cool.
so yeah, it was fun. And then we dressed up, and she loves amusement parks, so she was totally down for all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she
Oh,
was
awesome.
gun ho, and I had a good time too. It was fun.
Oh, good. Very, very good. Yeah,
Yeah,
we didn't do much. We just sort of. I think we watched Evangelion on TV.
oh really? Oh
Yeah.
nice.
We well, my wife's never seen it. I watched the original one back in the '90s, but a friend of ours told me that they've made new movies. I guess they rebooted the series, um, and they've come out with new movies like every 4 years or so. And so the latest movie came out this year in 2021. So I hadn't seen any of the reboots, so I just started watching them, and they're about 2 hours each. Um, and we watched the second one yesterday. It was good. It was interesting. I mean, they didn't change it too much, but it's a lot less weird than the original. The original one was like kind of creepy weird. At least the way I remember it. And then I started watching this one. I was like, oh please. My wife was watching it with me. I was like, oh please don't be weird. Please don't be weird.
So how much? So did they change it? I mean,
the characters they have the same characters, but it's I think it's a lot less philosophical in terms of the way that they present things. I mean, it's a very linear story. It's much easier to follow. I remember when I watched the original, I'd watch it and it was like, this is just really funky, weird, philosophical sort of gobbledygook. So, I mean, go ahead.
Is the one on Netflix, is that the original or is that the new one?
I don't know. I don't have Netflix. The new ones are on Amazon Prime, which is where I'm watching it, and they're called like Evangelion 1.11. That's the first one, and the second one's 2.22. Third one's 3.33. So those are the new rebooted versions.
Okay.
So Netflix may have the original series. I'm just not sure. But yeah, no, the new version's good. I like it. So
cool. I'll have to check it out because I have never watched the original, so I've actually been watching them on Netflix. And someone told me that it basically was supposed to be like these things that were like attacking Earth were like fallen angels or something, or angels.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And it was like God's judgment on the Earth or something. It was a part of, I don't know if it's supposed to be called Revelations or what.
I mean, they're not real. I mean, I kind of see them as like aliens because they're completely weird looking things. I mean, they're not angels. They call them angels just because I don't know why they call them angels, but it's a weird show. It's a weird
show. Japanese, they use biblical terms a lot of times, but they don't.
Yeah, it's filled with biblical terms, and it makes no sense whatsoever when you're watching it. You just kind of have to go with it. I always say this. It's like I think we dropped one too many A-bombs on the Japanese during World War II because it's like their anime is whacked out. It's whacked in the head. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it looks awesome. So,
it's funny. It's like they're the most creative, crazy. Like they take things to a level where you're like, I wouldn't even have thought of that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or if I did think of it, I would think, no, I'm not gonna do that. It'd be too weird. But it's like it works a lot of times because it's so weird. You're like, it makes you want to watch it more. You know?
Right. Yeah. No. You're right. You're right.
That's one. I think that's one strength they do have is they don't have that filter that a lot of times we do in the Western world. Where we're like, that's too weird. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe I should take it that direction.
Yeah, but even in the West, we have a lot of stuff like that, but it's European. Like a lot of European filmmaking is kind of weird, funky like that. Where for Americans, it doesn't make a lot of sense because I think Americans are we're very straightforward. It's just tell us the story, from point A to point B to point C to point D.
And we don't like to get into the philosophical.
Not really. Yeah, we're beating potatoes, Yeah. And I think a lot of other countries want to get all fancy and stuff and start, trying to feed us like foie gras and stuff, and we're just like, what the heck is this? Where's the hamburger?
Hamburgers and fries.
Yeah, where are the hot dogs? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it or is it Christina Lynn says she was recommending The World Ends With You and Trigun, and they both turned weird in the later episodes. I've never seen The World Ends With You. I've seen Trigun, or Trigun, whatever you want to call it.
It's Trigun.
Trigun, yeah.
Yeah.
I was called Trigun.
Yeah, Trigun's awesome. It's a great series, but it does get kind of weird towards the end because you find out that Vash and his brother are actually plants. It's just It goes from like a cool like space western to like a really like funky what the frick is going on type
Really,
anime. Yeah.
dang. Yeah,
So
see,
it's
I know that he, the creator, I love his art in the manga,
yeah.
and but is he's like one of those artists where he does really dynamic stuff, but it's like
Mhm.
you can't tell what's going on sometimes in some of those panels. Like you
Oh,
can't,
really?
it's like super close up of something. You're like,
Uh,
what is that? Is that an arm or is it a leg? Or like, and you're looking at it
hmm.
for a while, and then you're finally like, oh, I see what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's funny is that I think it's one of the things that I kind of admire about Japanese artists that they're willing to take risks like that. You know, like they're willing to like make something dynamic and take that step. Because like for me, I'm more like traditional illustration where I'm always concerned about is the reader to be able to understand what's going on here? Can they see this, or is it making sense, or you know what I mean? And so,
Right. Yeah.
which is good, but then also I think it kind of hinder you.
Yeah. I mean, you're thinking about the end user. Is this
Yeah,
going to translate so that the people who are going into this cold will instantly understand what's going on? Um, and I think that's good. I mean, that's the way I am with when it comes to storytelling. It's like because I'm a consumer. When I see new things, I want to be able to understand what's happening. I
yeah,
don't want to have to like waste 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, trying to figure out like what what am I watching? What am I looking at? Um, so that's the way I sort of approach comic books and everything and animation or movie telling, whatever. But like you said,
yeah.
I mean, everyone's not like that, so it just varies. Um,
No, that's the thing. Is like, I think that you have to like my one teacher I had in school.
mhm.
He tells everybody. Some people, that a lot of artists come in. He tells them they got to strengthen their traditional classical like skills like in anatomy and all this stuff or drawing
Yeah,
composition. But
yeah,
he's telling me, he said, what you need to work on. He said, I would tell you. He's a Chinese instructor. He goes, I would say to you, go west, young man. Yeah, or he said you need to like, make your stuff more dynamic. You need to go out there and do more, you know, break away from just trying to do just traditional. And I was kind of like, yeah, I kind of feel that way,
hmm,
which is still, I still don't struggle to do that. I feel like I'm getting better at doing that, but I'm like always when I draw a picture, I'm always like, okay, I drew that, it looks okay. Now I got to figure out how I can redraw and make it better looking, more dynamic looking. Like that's how
yeah,
I always look. I'm like, I feel like I'm doing. I got the structure down. Now I got to make it look more dynamic. And I okay, and
yeah.
then end up redrawing it a lot of times.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's funny that way. I mean, I'll get hung up too much. I think on structure. And I was talking about
Mhm.
this like type of thing on Mike's channel on Drawn a Quarter. I was like,
Yeah.
because we're always when you talk about new artists, you always tell them work on your anatomy, and which is true. You got to do that. But I think
Right.
even more so, we got to. I think like a lot of Japanese art. If you look at awesome, amazing Japanese artists, they do life drawing and all this stuff, but their art and like an anatomy, they're not trying to make it super realistic. Like the American comics, there's guys who like do insane looking realistic or muscle anatomy. Like Bart Sears does really
Oh
dynamic
yeah.
muscle, but
Yeah.
he was drawing muscles I'd never seen
It's
other
too
comics.
much, man. It's too much. Yeah. Yeah. And
And
go
yeah, he
ahead.
does it. He does it every like right. And I've never seen that, and that was like whoa, cool. And then but then I was like, I like about the Japanese is that they'll draw muscle groups, but they won't necessarily look maybe realistic, but they're so dynamic and so like
Yeah.
whoa, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that what the Japanese have over American style illustration and animation is just they have motion and energy down pat and displaying it, you know, even in still forms like manga. I mean, if you look at One Punch Man or whatever, I mean Naruto. I mean when they depict motion, when they depict sort of dynamic action and energy, it like really comes through, and they're just masters at it. And I look at American comics in comparison, and they're very static. I
Yeah.
mean, it's rare that I see a page of American art in a comic that the that it really it's like really sort of like, wow, this is like really dramatic. This is impactful, sort of exciting, energetic art. I think Americans tend to try to cover that stuff up with a lot of hatching and a lot of line work and detail and stuff to try to make it look more dynamic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I you know I can look at a page from a manga, a Japanese manga, and with a minimal amount of line work, they'll be able to impart a great deal of energy and power. And I find that generally American comic book artists have a hard time doing that.
Yeah.
Um, but again, with European art, I see the same dynamism occurring in their art as well. So I don't know what it is about American artists. I think because we grew up with the whole Marvel and DC sort of house style, we're so used to that. It's ingrained in our sort of artistic psyche that it's hard for us to break out of it. And
Yeah.
it's only through exposure to other types of art, like like manga, like European art, that some of us, like you, are able to sort of take some of those elements of energetic, you know artistic freedom and incorporate that into their own styles and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. You see more of it now happening, like you're seeing in American comics, Western comics. You're seeing
Hmm.
more influence from Japanese
Yeah.
anime manga style, and it's like even if they don't go full blown like anime or manga
Hmm.
style eyes and faces and stuff, you can
Right.
see it in some of their storytelling or even the
Oh yeah.
structure and a little bit in the faces. Maybe it's a little less. It's kind of like American anime looking, where they don't do the eyes as
Hmm.
exaggerated.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was, I mean, it was that way for a while, but now even more so, it's becoming more and more like, openly. But it's like publishers I know, for instance, like I dealt with here and over in the US, they were like, didn't want manga style. They were like, if you were doing it, they were like, we don't, you got to tone it down. We don't like seeing too much manga. And I go, but I was telling them, like, but this sells so well. It's so popular over the world. And they go, it doesn't sell for us. And I'm
Mm.
like, how can it not sell for you if you're not even doing it? You know,
Right.
you don't even do it.
How do you know?
Yeah. And now it's like, there's it sells way. It's it sells outsells them. One book will outsell their whole entire run.
Hmm.
Of course, not just because it's not because the art's not great. It's the stories I believe in. All the other stuff they're doing to characters they shouldn't be doing, but trying to change them and alter them for their own reasons. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of publishers who are just like, we don't want that. And even like I was doing manga type of like storytelling techniques, and they didn't even like that. And
Uh-huh.
so I felt like every time I did stuff for publishers, I always had to draw the way they wanted me to and not draw like the way I really wanted to. So I never felt like I could really do what I wanted to do.
Oh
Unless
yeah.
I drew my own stuff. And yeah, it was tough because I had to go in a lot of times and change things. So like, we don't like when you're doing these expressions that look too funny or they look too this. And I'm like, yeah, but it's supposed to be a funny scene, right? Or I did speed lines, and they're like, we don't want the speed lines, and like, so every little thing was like always altering, and I was always second guessing myself. I'm like, you
Yeah.
know, and then I had a publisher just, well, this was a couple of years ago when I was doing, working on an agenda, and
Oh yes. Yes.
a publisher I've worked for in the past, contacted me, and they wanted me to do something, but they wanted me to do a sample page for them.
Hmm.
I was like, well, are you going to pay me for the sample page? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, sorry. I just told them this way. I said, I can't afford to take it, you know,
Right. Yeah.
because instead of saying, I don't want to do it for all the money, I just said, I can't afford to, because it's like, it takes time, right, to
Right.
do it.
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
like, and I'm taking time away from actually making money, getting paid to do it for
Yeah.
free. I can't afford it. If I could afford it,
Yeah.
maybe I'd do it. But
Hmm.
plus, they've already published my work. But I think they're also kind of thinking, what kind of style is he doing now? It's been a few years. I started doing manga style. My stuff started gradually kind of like going that way, and then
Yeah.
they actually did a conference call with the president of the publishing, and like my editor, and we had a conference call and about my direction of art. And
What?
yeah, they wanted me to change. They were like, we don't like the direction you're going with your art development, and I'm like, what?
Oh man.
Yeah, so they're like, you could, and the publisher was just like, well, you could tell me to f off or whatever you want. I said, or just if you want to quit or you want to do it. And I'm like, nah. I said, well, you guys are paying me to draw what you want me to draw, so in the first
Right.
place, just do what you want me to draw.
Uh,
But then after that, that was like the last thing I did with them. But
man.
but yeah, that's
Yeah.
how it works with a lot of publishers, and it's like,
This
yeah,
was a comp. This was a comic book company.
yeah, comic publisher, yeah.
Wow.
And so like I'm saying is like, I don't know if it's changed, but I could see that, like, why you don't see full blown manga in American comics, because it's the editors and publishers that
Yeah.
do.
Right.
Like the artists want to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
like, even was it, who Felipe Smith is?
No, I'm not familiar with them.
He's a Argentina, like half Argentina, Jamaican or whatever based guy, but
Mm-hmm.
he's like, an American now, I believe. I think he was raised in L.A. But anyway, he did manga style comics. He actually went to Japan and did manga for Kodansha, and
Oh, cool.
he did his own series, and
Mm-hmm.
for like 2 years, I think it was.
Wow.
And yeah, he said it was the most insane experience of his life.
Mm.
He said it was so
Yeah.
hard. He said he had like
Yeah.
emotional breakdown doing it.
Wow.
Because he was drawing so much, he just broke down
Mm-hmm.
weeping at his desk because he couldn't leave.
Yeah.
He had to keep working. But he's like, but anyway, he had to change his style working. He created the Ghost Rider with the car.
You heard what?
Ghost Rider, the character with the car. He's
Oh, okay, cool. Oh,
remember
neat.
Brad Moore drew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he created it. He
Wow.
was the writer. He created it, designed it, and then but he also did an issue of that book too. But he had to like kind of water down his style to look more American style,
Uh-huh.
like Western style, because even then they still wanted him to not do too much manga, I guess, style.
Oh, wow.
And because
Huh.
he's totally a manga artist,
Yeah.
but they had him kind of, you could tell he toned down some of what he was doing.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
shame.
yeah, and I'm like, see, I know it's not because of his choices that they stifle you, man. These publishers, and yeah,
Yeah, because I think of guys like Bill Sienkiewicz.
yeah,
You know him?
yeah, yeah,
He's very famous American artist. He Electra Assassin. It's just done New Mutants, tons of things. But when he first started, he was a straightforward Neil Adams clone. When he first started, he was doing a Moon Knight for Marvel Comics back in 1980, maybe 1981. If you look at those issues, and I have them, it looks like Neil Adams drew them because he used to work for Neil Adams and Neil Adams Continuity Studios, doing like sort of like freelance ad campaigns, for on behalf of Neil Adams, because Neil Adams would farm out his studio to different agencies to do ads for them, comic book style art for different ad agencies back in the 70s and 80s. And Sienkiewicz worked for them, and then he wanted to go on his own into art. And then, but when he first started in comics, he drew just like Neil Adams, and which was cool because Neil Adams is a great artist. But you don't want to see a clone, when of a famous comic book artist. I mean, I kind of don't like, because Jim Lee has countless clones out there, people who draw just kind of like him. But I'd rather look at Jim Lee's art, as opposed to a clone of his. But it took a few years for him to finally break out of that Neil Adams mindset, and it was with the New Mutants when he started working on them because he drew for Fantastic Four, and again it was all sort of like the same sort of Neil Adams style. It was with New Mutants that he finally decided that he's going to break out and start doing his own style, and that's when, as soon as he did that, that's when he blew up. That's when he became well known, because no one remembers like a clone of a famous artist. They remember the famous artist, not his copycats.
Yeah,
When he decided that he was going to do his own style, that's when people paid attention to him. And it's the same thing with Todd McFarlane. You know, once Todd McFarlane started doing all that funky stuff he was doing with Spider-Man, that's when everyone finally paid attention. It's like, who is this guy? This guy is like, it's kind of funky, but I like it. And everyone, he became the highest paid artist in Marvel as a result. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying is, he even admits, he goes, yeah, my art might, the anatomy and stuff might be wonky and everything, but he said I didn't really care. He said I was trying to focus on making it dynamic, and like McFarlane, and that's what one thing I liked about his stuff is that it was just like it just burned an image in your brain where you're like, whoa,
Right, exactly.
And maybe a guy's leg couldn't bend that way, or the hip couldn't, could move out of the socket like that, but it's like just that pose made you go, whoa.
Exactly. I mean, I could criticize McFarlane's art, 10 ways from Sunday, but his art being beautiful isn't the point. It's the fact that it's so cool. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's like I look at his faces. I'm like, those faces are messed up, but his art is cool. It's like it's like it over the overall awesomeness of his art overshadows any of the flaws that might be in there. And there are plenty of flaws in his art, just like there are plenty of flaws in Jim Lee's art. There are plenty of flaws in Neil Adams' art, but the what they do is so awesome that it doesn't matter. It's not about perfection. It's about what does that art, how does that art make the readers feel when they look at it?
The impact it makes on them, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's emotional impact. That's something that's like, to me, I try to focus on the most, because I have there's certain shortcomings that I have, and it's funny, is like even like drawn and quartered, there's certain things where I'm like, okay, these guys are better at me doing certain things, so I'm not going to compete in that way. I try to think of what can I do to make my stuff look more exciting. So that's why I try to focus on composition, and try to do that type of thing in the layout. And I'm trying to think, what can I do to make it look, like you said, have an emotional impact on the viewer.
Right.
And so even if technically something might be off, they might be like, I don't care. That just invokes an emotion where you're like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
And it's like, in the end, that's really what you want, because that's what sticks with people. I mean, it's like an image that sticks in the brain, and they're like, that feeling, they don't forget it,
Yeah.
And that's what I think my goal is when I'm doing art, is like, I got to remind myself, though, because I'm always like, okay, I'm trying to get the structure right, and then I go, wait, I'm forgetting to make it fun and dynamic,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then once I start doing that, it just starts flowing like easier.
Mm-hmm.
But I notice if I'm struggling, I got to stop and go, okay, what's going on here? I'm struggling because I'm trying to be too technical, or
right.
I got to forget that and just have fun. And then I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm liking it.
You loosen up, and then
yeah,
and ideas and thoughts start flowing easily. I find I find that if I get too tied up in what in what the human body can actually do, then the art gets real kind of stiff. So
it's true.
Yeah, I have to do like a lot of gesture drawings. It's just with stick figures, just to sort of just like, sometimes you have to put the human figure in like impossible situations on paper, and then it's like, oh, maybe that will actually work, Still limit yourself. So
no, it's funny, is like I said, I'll draw like how caricature artists will do caricatures of people at baseball parks. Like I
Hmm.
would draw a picture of a person and try to get their features down. And then once I got that
Right.
drawing down normally, then I
Yeah.
would try to go, okay, now I captured how I think they should look. Now I'm going to try to exaggerate those. And I like how they're able to just right off the bat just look for those things and just
Yeah.
put them down onto that
Hmm.
paper. And I'm like, so I'm impressed by those. There's guys who do it really well, kind of like
Yeah.
Jack.
I'm sorry.
Kind of like Jack Davis was kind of like that.
Oh yeah. No. He's phenomenal. Or more drunker.
Yeah, yeah. They took it to
Um.
another level. We were like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, my problem is that I have to like tone it down. If I when I caricature people, it's like I tend to be. It's not mean, but I tend to caricature them to an extreme, and I have to like bring it back so it's not so when they look at it, it's not like offensive to them. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's like
That's the thing. Yeah,
if I draw someone with buck teeth, it's like the buck teeth are gonna be like huge. It's not gonna be like just sort of mildly exaggerated. So it just depends on is this for the person? If it's for the person, you have to be nice and caricature them in a way that's still sort of flattering to them. But if it's for like if you're trying to like rag on them, then you can sort of push it a little further. So
yeah. It's a
that was a
balance of where you are, right time and place.
Yeah, right, exactly.
If you're
Yeah,
doing a
if you had a kid's birthday party, making fun of their acne probably isn't a good thing.
yeah,
So.
exactly. There's some
You may want
people
to
who
leave
don't
that
have
part
that.
out.
There's people who don't have that filter I've run into who do like harsh stuff, and I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
It's a kid. It is like this, like, but that's what he looks like. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like
Yeah.
that one. Do you see that skit, Key and Pill? You ever watch them?
Oh yeah, yeah. Which
Where
one?
they did a skit where oh wait, they did a skit where Key and Pill where there's he's a comedian on stage and he's making fun of everybody, and then the guy in the
Uh,
audience is the guy who directed Get Out. Is that Key or is it
that's Peel. Yeah.
Peel? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Peel is in the audience and he's like got makeup, but he looks like he's a burn victim, right?
Oh no.
And then he's like, and then he's like making fun of people and look at this guy, and then he turns and he sees that guy, and all of a sudden he skips over him, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
then
I think I saw it. What about me? He wants them to make fun of him.
yeah,
Is
and then
that it?
he's got that he's got that vocal thing that makes your voice like you put it
Oh
against your
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
do me, and he's like yeah,
yeah.
and it's like yeah, that's the kind of thing is like when you got a character artist, you got to go okay, I'm gonna draw this person, and they're maybe really odd looking, but you're like I'm gonna make them look how they look, but like
Right,
I always say this, make them like a comic book version of themselves, so that it's
right.
a look right.
Hmm.
So I do that, and I found out this because I did caricatures of people at events and stuff, and I noticed
Uh,
the ones that looked least like the person is when they were
hmm.
happy, right?
Right.
When I made it
Yeah.
look exactly like them, they're like, eh.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
just kind of funny. The more it looked like them, the more they were like, I don't like it, and I was like,
Yeah.
kind of cracked me up.
Yeah. People have a definite sense of how they look in their own mind, or how they like to envision themselves. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and if they have flaws, they don't really like to have that emphasized. They don't like to think that other people see those flaws whenever they look at them. And a caricature, if a stranger drawing their picture, the thing that they emphasize most is the thing that they don't like about themselves, then
yeah,
yeah, they're not going to like that picture.
yeah. That's how it usually is, you
Yeah.
know. But it's like for me, like I did we did a high school lock-in where it was me and
Hmm.
two friends. We did like all night. We just drew caricatures of high schoolers at this lock-in, and it was probably
Cool.
not all night. It was maybe like 5 hours, 6 hours, but
Wow.
it was like we were, and they just paid us a flat fee, and
Hmm.
it was good. It was good money. But it's funny is like these teenagers they want us to do them, and I noticed that when I was drawing them, if I made them look more like comic book version of themselves instead of like an actual,
Uh-huh.
realistic caricature, then they were
Yeah.
like, happy with it. So I'm like, okay, that's
Oh
what I
yeah.
got to do. I want some
Yeah.
happy customers here.
Yeah. especially teenagers, because they're still trying to figure out
Oh yeah,
what they're like, who they want to be. And I spent most of my high school years just like drawing caricatures of my classmates, and usually it was just I would only do it with friends because otherwise it comes across as mean. If
yeah,
I couldn't really like make real caricatures of like people that I didn't already know and was close with, and I never made caricatures of girls, never, because no,
yeah,
because you couldn't because it would always, at least to my mind, or maybe I just wasn't skilled enough to do it without it seeming mean, because girls, especially high school girls, are very sensitive about how they look. They don't want to be sort of made fun of. They don't want people to look
yeah,
at a drawing of them and start laughing.
yeah,
So
no, yeah,
so it's not that wasn't something that I even really consciously thought of, at the time. I just sort of knew it, that if I did caricatures of girls, that it would not end well for me. So I never did it. I still have all these drawings from when I did, like, when I was like, 14, 15, 16 years old and stuff. And they're all of like, the same, like, maybe like 10 guys I knew in that I was friends with in high school. Um, you know,
yeah,
they laugh because, guys are have a much better sense of humor about how they look. I mean, we know we look goofy, so we don't care.
yeah, yeah. We're not. I mean, everybody's different, but yeah, we're not as harsh. If
Yeah.
it looks, especially if it looks funny on us, we actually
Right.
will crack up, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, yeah, we're not as harsh on, or maybe we're more harsh on ourselves and the way we
Mhm.
look, but I think,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of generalities, but that are true, but that there's certain things where some people are sensitive,
Oh yeah.
with
Yeah.
guys too, and but yeah,
Yeah.
usually I would, if I drew a female, like doing a
Hmm.
caricature of them, I would definitely make it appealing looking because you know it's like, not that guys don't care about their looks, but yeah, that women, that's kind of in society, they're kind of like known by the looks too, right?
Yeah.
Whether good or bad, I mean that's kind of
Hmm.
how it plays. I mean guys are too, but
But society is much harder on women's appearances than they are on guys.
yeah, yeah,
You
that's
know,
what I think too. Like especially like
because
when they're older.
a guy can be butt ugly and still be considered attractive.
Yeah,
Seriously, I was like, I mean, okay, look, take Siege, okay, from Drawn and Quarter. Who is her favorite actor?
oh, yeah, yeah, the Adam Driver.
Adam Driver.
Yeah, see, there's just certain qualities
The
that she
guy's butt ugly, but I'm sorry, he is. He's objectively he's an ugly man, but women still find him attractive. If you had a woman who looked like Adam Driver, men would not find her attractive. It's just men can get away with being, is it handsome ugly or ugly handsome? Maybe it's ugly handsome.
Well, I think only if they have some other quality like that makes them stand out. Like I think that's with everybody, but I think for me, for guys,
Yeah.
um, I think the people that are harshest on looks, though, I think, in my personal opinion, are women. Meaning, like, women are tough on other women more than maybe a guy might be, because
Um.
for
Maybe.
other reasons, maybe I don't know. But
Hmm.
like sometimes some women are like, "Oh, look at that girl, how she's dressed." I'm like, "She looks so fine with me, She looks okay to me." Or
Right. Yeah.
look at the way she's doing this, and I go, "Oh, she looks fine to me." And
Right. Yeah.
maybe because I'm not
Yeah.
as, but I think sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, look at I'm gaining weight or I'm fat." And I'm like, "You look fine to me,"
Right.
I'm like, I don't. It's funny, like, "Oh no, I'm gaining weight," and like, don't
Well, that's
listen.
because you're scared.
you know,
What you gonna say? It's like, yeah, yeah, I was gonna mention that, but I'm glad you said it
yeah.
first.
No, it's funny. It's like, what's funny is I think. See, I don't know. Maybe it depends on the guy.
I was gonna mention that, but
I'm not as critical.
oh, oh,
What?
now my computer started going off. Hold on, there we go.
I thought you had another person there talking. I was like, well,
No, no, no. That was just the YouTube. It's like, stupid YouTube, shut up. I'm trying to listen to Matt. I can't hear him.
well, I do that too. Like if you're gonna comment on people,
Yeah,
and I have to put mute on that YouTube video. I've done that a couple times. I'm like, oh no.
yeah.
But no, yeah, Jeff Potts had it bow out. He just dropped in and dropped out. So
No, Jeff Potts, come back.
we'll see you later, Jeff Potts.
Potts.
Thanks for stopping by, though. At least
Bye, Jeff Potts. I think he left a while ago, though.
In the comics legend said hello.
Hello.
Amy was Amy.
At least let Amy Lester's still here and Melissa.
What'd she say? She said, Amy said, I did a portrait of a girl that age. What? I did a portrait of a girl that age at a Comic-Con once. She was flustered because the drawing was cute. I was concerned. I asked her if she thought it looked like her. She shyly said it did. So she was like flustered because it looked cute and she didn't think she was cute.
Maybe.
I mean, sometimes there's people like that where they go, "You made me look too good."
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's true. No, see, that's true. Like you said, a difficult age. Yeah, that's true. There's a difficult age where they're really awkward about their looks, or really,
right? Yeah.
I guess concerned because you're just learning. As a kid, a little kid, you're like, I don't care about my looks. I mean, I'd go play, I'd be dirty, my face had mud on it, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But you reach a certain age where you kind of realize people are looking at your looks, and you're kind of like, and you start feeling super self-conscious. Like if you get, especially if you get like if you get like you said, acne or something like that, or pimple.
Oh yeah, right.
Like,
yes.
All you see is that.
Yeah, the flaws.
And then you're like, that's what everybody sees, and like you're the only one seeing it, and people might know it's there, but they don't even care, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right,
and
it's not important to them.
It's harder for you to believe that the people don't care as much as you do about it, but they don't, you know.
Yeah.
Only maybe other kids if they want to make fun of you, right?
Yeah.
So. Oh yeah, see, she says she thought she wasn't pretty, and she was a perfectly sweet little girl, even if she didn't look like a cookie cutter. Yeah, that's the thing is, as you get older, at least for me, I find like different looks attractive that I never would have thought when I was younger. Like for instance, like in school, like if you look through your old yearbooks, and you look at girls who were in your class before, and you didn't think anything of them, you're like, yeah, they weren't that pretty.
Right.
Then you look back at it and you're like, she was actually pretty, you know?
Right.
And it's like, but you didn't realize because at the time you only had a small margin of what you thought was attractive at the time. Maybe some certain look was popular or something.
Right.
And then even the girls you thought maybe were the best looking, you're like, really, she's not really the best looking. Why did I think that? And
right.
Like, and this other girl that you didn't think, you thought it was a plain, you're like, she actually looks good even back then.
Right.
It's like, it's strange. It's funny how your taste changed, but also you realize when you think you have like a pimple and you're like, it's the size of, you know, the grand, you know, it's the size of like Mount Everest or something. And then you realize everybody's looking at me and they're looking at that thing. And it's like, no, they're not. They don't even, they mostly, if they see you, an adult, they already know teenagers had acne and they don't care. They just see you as a person. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I had, when I was in high school, I didn't get acne until I was like 19. I think it was 18 or 19. Right. Mm-hmm. So it was like after the high school, and it was like funny because I never had it the whole time. And all of a sudden I got it, and it was like the worst kind where it wasn't like a lot of acne. It was just like big, like almost like painful, like sores, you know, like infection almost. And
like Edward James almost.
Yeah, it was like bad. Where it's funny, the doctor was telling me, she's like, I went to a dermatologist, and she's like, you're gonna have to take this medication, and and then I was like, you know what? I don't feel right about it in my heart. It just didn't feel like I should. And she goes, you got to take it. You're going to have these big scars and pockmarks all over your face and everything.
Oh, dang.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm still not going to take it. I just don't feel like I should.
You got to take the vax.
Well, it's funny. Years later, guess what I found out?
She mandated
it? I found out years later that what she was trying to give me caused brain damage.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I was like, see, something inside. The guy was telling me, don't do it. Don't take it. And I didn't take it, and I'm like, yeah. And everybody in the room was like, you don't want to be scarred and all that. Well, guess what? It got really bad for me. But what it was like, I was funny. People go, how'd you get rid of your acne? Because my aunt was like, man, like your cousin who's younger, you know, he's got really
Yeah.
bad acne now, and how did you get rid of yours? And I go, honestly, I just prayed. I just looked in the mirror and I'm like, God,
Wow.
you need to help me because this is not normal. And part of me accepted it as like, oh, it's just being a teenager or whatever, right? And I
Right.
go, this is not normal. This is actually hurts and it's painful. And I go, this is like a curse. So I just
Yeah.
prayed over it. And for
Good.
6 months, I didn't look at myself in the mirror, meaning I didn't look at my face. I looked at my hair and
Yeah.
fixed my hair, but I would not look
Yeah.
at my face. And then
Hmm.
at the 6 months, for some reason, 6 months, I looked and I saw my face, and it was like the acne was gone,
Wow.
but I had like red marks all over my face from where it was,
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so then I thought, okay, if I prayed and the acne's gone, I'm going to pray that these red marks go away too. So I
Yeah.
prayed for that too, and they faded away. So, I mean, you might see if you look real close a little bit of,
Uh-huh.
but it's not like bright red. Like the one lady told me, you'll have that for the rest of your life. It'll be like bright red,
Wow. Mm.
rosacea, I think it's called.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just prayed over my face, and boom, gone again. And all I did was wash my face with water.
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't even
Yeah.
use medications or anything. But I'm like, but yeah, as far as like I said, that time period of my life, I was super self conscious. I felt like the Elephant Man. Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't want people looking at me. I was just like, don't
Hmm.
look at me.
And if they do, they have to pay $5 a piece.
See, if I would
Next
have
show's
been
at
more
four.
entrepreneurial, I could have made some.
Yeah, exactly. Next show's at 4 o'clock, folks. Bring your money.
Yeah, yeah. No, but yeah, Amy. Yeah, God, man, God's good and faithful.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I just reached a point. I remember I was in school and I went to the bathroom, and I looked
Hmm.
in the mirror and I was just looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, this is not normal. Like this is
Yeah.
not. This is like I was just like so angry. And I'm like, this is like a
Hmm.
curse. And that's when I finally I'm gonna pray over this because I was kind of just like trying to ignore it in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to do something because I go, God, you got to do something. This is like painful too. And
Yeah.
but yeah, he
Becky's
did,
never gonna
man.
marry me if I look like this. So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna marry whatever. I always
I'm
I
never
always
gonna
say
get a hot chick if I look like this, God. So please.
yeah. How is Kate Beckinsale ever gonna marry me if I
Oh, sir. Oh my gosh. I fell in love with her the first time I saw her in what was it called? It was that Shakespeare movie with Denzel Washington. Um,
yeah, I've never seen
I
that.
mean, I think it was her first role. It was Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it was called. It starred Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson, and she
Oh,
played the damsel in that movie, the
okay.
innocent girl, and yeah, she just got better with age. I was
Yeah, it's
like,
funny. The first time I ever seen her that I knew that she existed was in that movie. What's it called?
Underworld.
Underworld. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
I thought she was really good looking at a movie too, and I go, "Wow, man, who's
she
this?"
was.
And then
Yeah,
and also the outfit was cool too. How that long trench
yeah.
coat. I was into trench coats, and that was so cool. Like it's kind of like I like the trench coat in characters because it was almost like a cape, but not being a
Right,
cape.
yeah, like the Matrix. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but I remember she was cool looking. I go, oh, she's so cool.
yeah. Those
And
are
then
great movies.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, always like the not just because of her, but mainly because of her. But but no, I just I mean just they were just cool monster movies. I thought the special effects were cool. I thought the storylines were interesting and really well done. So
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. It's funny is they had there's one movie I think in between. They have a few of them, but one of them they actually they made it. They switched it so that the lead was a different female.
oh yeah, the one that's set in the past.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was very
I
good.
actually I liked her too. That actress. Can't
Yeah.
remember her name. She's on a TV show.
Um. Yeah, it was. Ah, my brain just shut down. She's been in a lot of movies. But
She was
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah, I
she was
thought
very good.
she had a similar look. Not
Hmm.
but she had a similar look too. That's probably why they picked her as
Right. Yeah,
to get
because
back.
what is the name? Lucius? Was that the name of the father?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because in the first movie he says that she reminded him of his daughter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. That was yeah, well put together in the movies, and
Hmm.
But yeah, that's funny. It's like when you see certain actors, yeah, you're like, whoa. And then it's funny. Have you ever seen a movie going
Hmm.
on? Going from topic to topic, but you ever see the movie
That's fine.
where you didn't realize, like, you see it again years later, and you didn't realize that is an actor that's famous that you liked that was in that role because
Oh
they don't.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done that.
Where I'm like, all these years I've seen this one movie, and I watched it again. I'm like, whoa, that guy, that's so and so. I'm like, what the, I didn't even know it was him.
Yeah, she usually went. If I see a movie and I don't know who an actor is, and then over time I find out who the actor is, but I don't remember that he was in the previous movie that I'd seen.
Yeah,
And then I
yeah,
watch that movie again, and by that time I have a good idea of who the actor is, and I like his roles and everything. And I see that old movie over again. It's like I didn't even recognize him because I didn't know who he was the first time I saw it. You know?
yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, man. I the same way. It's like that was him, or that was
Yeah.
her, and I'm like, wow. And yeah, it's funny. It's almost like it blows your mind because you're like, how did I not know? But you remember it had an impact on you.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Like Denzel, I think Denzel Washington. We're talking about him. Um,
Hmm.
I can't remember. I seen like that movie where he was like his first big blow up movie where he was like a cop, and
Cop.
he
Oh
took.
no, he was big long before that. I
No, I
mean,
mean
you're talking about
the one where he took out.
Training Day.
No, the one where he took out. Remember the guy from Third Rock from the Sun? Um, Walter was it Lithgow? Was his name Lithgow?
Oh yeah, John Lithgow.
Yeah, yeah. Like I didn't realize that was Denzel Washington, like until
What
years
movie
later.
was that? You remember what film it was? What movie? Do you
I can't
remember?
remember. It was like Ice T was in it.
Okay.
He was a cop who like a rookie cop who took the guy out, and then the guy had a vendetta against him because he was in prison, and he ended up becoming running for like senator or governor or something later on, and or attorney general or something, and then he tries to get
Okay.
revenge on him, destroy his life,
Okay. Okay.
and
Okay. It's probably one. Yeah, it's probably one of his early movies. Yeah.
was it Ricochet? I think it was Ricochet. Was that it?
Ricochet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Let me look it up.
Yeah, we have the internet now.
Yeah,
We're on
we
the
got this magic. We actually have the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in our hands, called a cell
yeah,
phone.
yeah.
So.
Was it
Hmm?
the Quantum Leap, that little computer?
Oh
Was
yeah.
it Ziggy or
Yeah, but except we don't have the holographic Al to talk to us,
yeah,
unfortunately.
he's the search engine. That's the the AI search engine. But
Christina
no,
Lynn
yeah,
says it was Christina Lynn says it was funny seeing the Captain America guy, Chris Evans, in the early 2000s Fantastic Four movies. But since he acted like a totally different character, I didn't really think about it after a while.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
in.
it's
It's
sort of the
true.
same
What
thing.
about that movie? He was in a movie with Kim Basinger when he was younger too. It
Kim
was called
Basinger.
Cellular, I think,
Okay.
and it was like
Yeah, he's.
he was like a punk who like a young guy who found a cell
Mhm.
phone, or he got
Yeah.
a call from Kim Basinger who needed help, and he was trying to keep her on the line to help
Uh huh.
her. She was locked in some
Okay.
room,
Huh.
and
Okay.
yeah, it was pretty good actually. That was the first time I ever seen him, and then when I heard he was playing Captain America, that guy's playing Captain America. He was like a little clown, He was he was more like comedy relief to me. I mean, the way he was good role. I mean, he did a good role, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm like that with a
Um.
lot of actors. I find out they're playing a hero. I'm like, what? That guy's playing like what?
Yeah, but I mean, Chris Evans always had the basic material to play Captain America. You know, he's tall, blonde, handsome,
Yeah, but
muscular.
he
So
also had the commanding presence that I didn't think he had, but he did have it
yeah,
in that role. I was like, wow, he did a good job.
yeah, he did.
I can't
Very
picture
good job.
anybody else playing it now after he played it.
Yeah, yeah, it was Ricochet.
Ricochet, yeah, Ricochet. I thought so.
Yeah, I never watched that movie. I remember it because I remember the trailers, but I never actually saw it. So
Yeah, yeah. He was young in that one, man. He was like He's kind of like the heartthrob. Like that was his era when he was like heartthrob for all the young ladies.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he like he takes his like pants off like to like show that he's unarmed to the bad guy or something in a hostage situation or something like that.
Like Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They all did that back then. They all took their shirts off.
Yeah, that's the thing. They had to take your shirt off, otherwise it was like, yeah. What's
Yeah,
the point?
that's why I never got into movies. It's like it said strip. It's like I can't do that. Sorry.
Like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to kill the hostage. I can't do that.
I'm not that kind of guy. Sorry.
Can't strip.
My mom's watching this movie. Can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah. What was that one? That Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There's a scene where was it that Carlton?
Carlton, yeah.
He's like goes to some club where they're stripping or something, and then his mom's in the audience, and his mom's like, yeah, and she sees he comes out on stage and he's dancing or something with like Will, I think, and then all of a sudden his mom's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Mommy," and he covers himself like he covers his chest, he covers his nipples like, "Mommy."
Oh no.
Oh, you said that mommy thing and everything. He's like, "Mommy."
They're talking about rebooting the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not joking.
With him though, with Will Smith?
No, not with him. With someone else. I'm like, why even bother doing that? It's like, don't. These people are idiots. It's like rebooting Webster or All in the Family. It's like, don't. Most TV shows should not be rebooted. It's just dumb.
Especially what is that one? The Equalizer with Queen Latifah.
Oh, that's so stupid. Come on.
I'm like
anyone's gonna be scared of Queen Latifah.
Gosh, man, that was like I bought the box set of the original one.
Yeah.
And
really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I was watching it episodes with Becky because she's never seen it, and she's like hooked on it now. And I'm like,
oh really?
Yeah. She's like, I go, this show is really hardcore, hard edged, like because it's just like you delve deep into the criminal world and how the government worked back then, like the different agencies, alphabet agencies.
Oh right, yeah.
And it was like they were throwing some hard edge like concepts and like stories up. I was like, whoa, man. Like some of the stuff, like this one episode we watched, he one of these girls that his clients, the parents needed him to find her because she got abducted, and she was in New York for vacation with her family, and some guy took her, and for, of course, bad reasons, right? And locked her up in this like facility. But he take girls off the street. But it's like in the story, he goes to different sources in the agencies that he knows to help find information. And he goes to one of the agencies, and the guy is a guy who's like works for CIA, and his job is to hook up young women with senators, and so they can get dirt on them, so they can keep them in their pocket. And I was like, "Whoa, man!" That was like in the old '80s TV show. They were having those concepts like that. I'm like, man, and it was just like blatantly. He was like, "Oh, you got to see this one guy. We got this diplomat, and he was with these young girls, and he goes, and that's punishable by death in his country. So we got him wherever we want him." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
Wow.
And I'm like, I have no doubt that goes on right now to this day. I
mean, yeah.
That's why sometimes I'll see some guys running an office and all of a sudden do a 360 turn on something. I'm like, whoa, what do they got on this guy? That's what I always say.
Yep.
What do they have on him?
A lot of scumbags in politics.
Yeah, I mean, that's no surprise.
Which is probably why they get into politics in the first place, because they're scumbags.
Yeah, I think a lot of them. And even some who might have gone in with good intentions, they get, get caught in a trap, literally, or the money is just like a big lure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But those shows, what I liked about those old shows is they would show you things like that, and like watching these shows, like because my mom and dad, they'd watch a lot of these, old shows. My brother and I got hooked into. We learned a lot. So we were watching shows like this when we were just little kids, like. We were getting these hard concepts of life about watching your back and being careful and
Mm-hmm.
We're watching these things as kids, and I'm like,
Yeah. That's
kids
what I learned from
nowadays,
Dukes of Hazzard.
yeah,
You watch your back. Sheriff
watch
could
your
be
back,
right on your
man.
tail.
Yeah,
Got to get
stick
away. Look
around
for a
with
ramp
them,
to jump off of.
making your way any way you know how.
Exactly. Right there in the theme song.
But that's just a little bit more than the law would allow.
Yeah, we were taking notes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I love those old shows because
Yeah.
even today, like I'm seeing some of them where I'm like shocked at like what they did back then, which would totally not even they would be canceled today for. I'm
Well,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah. Well,
great.
it all goes back to what I was saying about people being soft now. You know, it's
Yeah.
like even things from 10 years ago would never be allowed today,
Oh,
just because of political correctness and the outrage culture. You know, the marketing of outrage for virtue points. Yeah,
yeah.
you take what was that movie? The one with uh, Robert Downey Jr. in blackface, the comedy.
Oh,
Um,
Tropic Thunder.
yeah, Tropic Thunder. That could never be made today. It's
Yeah.
only 10 years. It's only a decade old. It's hilarious. It's a hilarious movie. It could never be made today,
Yeah.
which is both shocking and a shame because
Yeah.
it's such a great movie. Such a great movie.
Yeah.
And
It's funny.
I say this as someone who's black, as you can tell if you're looking at your screen right now. But it would never be allowed. It would never be allowed just because of social politics, and
Yeah.
it's just pure stupidity. Um, and
Everybody. Yeah.
well, I was just gonna say it's like it's a softness in society that will only breed more softness because people generations today are not learning how to laugh at themselves, not
Yeah.
learning how to separate jokes from serious discussions and commentary. They don't know the difference because they treat everything as serious commentary. They treat jokes. They treat minor slights. They treat anything they don't like as harsh criticism and as everything from racism to terrorism to whateverism. They put it in the worst possible light so that anything that they don't like is instantly taken from the public, sort of sphere of ideas,
Yeah.
that hurts society, overall because it makes society weak, to my mind.
Yeah. No, it's just true. I think it's like I said, when we were kids growing up, like my brother and I, one thing I learned as a kid is basically like you never let them see you sweat, right? Like you don't
Right,
let other kids know what bothers you because then they're going to use that against you because that's your weak spot, right?
right, yeah,
Like if they see something bothers you. So as kids, we were taught never let them see you sweat, right? No, don't go. You know what? This really hurts my feelings because then they'd be like, "Oh, it does it?" You know.
yeah,
And then it's like then it would really start. So it's like as a
hmm,
kid, we learn that. Nowadays, it's like everybody's like, this offends me, and I'm like, that's gonna to me. I never learned that. I always learned
yeah,
keep that close to the vest, man, because that
hmm,
information will get you in trouble. You know,
yeah.
get
You
you
might,
get you even more.
yeah, you might as well just like paste little targets all over your body. It's like this
Yeah,
is my
yeah,
weak spot. This is my weak spot. This is my weak spot. You want to get to
yeah,
me? Hit me here. Hit me here. It's
yeah.
like taping like a kick me sign all over your body.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, that's as a kid, it was like you almost like learn prison rules. You're like, that's a dumb thing to do. You don't
Yeah.
do that, you know? Yeah, it's funny though. It's like, yeah, when you get older, it's like you remember just things you learned as a kid, and you're like, some things still apply, and you're like, but they get thrown out, right? And
Hmm.
then for different reasons. But without getting in too deep into the weeds, but yeah, it's like it's funny. I heard comedians like even Seinfeld, who's not like a controversial comedian, right? I mean, he's not known for being controversial. he was like, he can't even do stand-up comedies anymore at colleges.
All right, yeah, of
You know,
course not.
because he said he's like, he's just going to offend people just by saying any little thing, you're offending him. And he's
Right.
like, he said even his own daughter, she'd be like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, what? You know, he's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean I mean by that? He's like, get out of here then. It's funny though, because, and these guys aren't like some right-leaning guys either, you know?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with right leaning. It's the fact that they're funny, you
Yeah.
know,
That's funny
and
is like, but they're starting to see it. And
yeah.
it's funny because the censors used to always be, you know, growing up, it's like, oh, the conservatives, the right are always censors. They're always censoring. They don't want anybody to have any fun. They're always trying to censor and everything. Now it's
Right.
become like the opposite way around. Is like, and I think people are starting to see that. And like you said, right or left, they're just like, we don't want that censorship,
Yeah.
you know, in our life. It's
Mhm.
like you said, there's things now that will no longer be, that could no longer be made because, you know,
Yeah.
it might possibly offend people. We don't know. It might. And I'm like,
Right.
well, you
They
never
didn't
know
even
till you
wait.
try.
Yeah. I mean, they're so terrified of the Twitter mob that they they uh, they go to extremes in order to avoid any possible criticism from certain people.
Yeah, but
So
and it's the criticisms are for a really small sect of people too. It's not like the majority of people care. It's just like that's
well,
why they don't get it. You know, I think it's
well,
mostly an agenda from the companies too.
oh yeah, it's a combination, but also because it doesn't matter if it's a small group of people, because with with sock accounts and computer bots nowadays, you can make 10 people seem like 10,000, you know.
Yeah,
So it's and because the people who complain are usually like a loud minority, the majority usually don't say anything because they're happy with the way things are. They're just like, okay, we're just gonna let things go because we like the show, we like whatever's happening. But you get a vocal minority that seems to be in the thousands, like hammering all your social media and yeah, going to the news and getting them riled up, and causing trouble for a company. That it's publicity that a lot of corporations, a lot of companies just don't want because they only want good news, especially when it's something that they're not even sure of themselves if it's going to work. And so
yeah,
they start getting barraged by criticism from like what seems to be like all sides. All of a sudden, they just tuck tail and run.
yeah,
There's like, okay, don't hit me, don't hit me. You know,
yeah,
they start cowering instead of standing up and just saying, you know, screw you, too bad,
yeah.
which is what they should do. But
Well, yeah, like
unfortunately,
I've seen that with people where what was it, Kevin Costner? They they always try to have like this moment where they get you on something from your past, you know. And in
yeah,
Kevin Costner, they try to talk show. They talk to him, and they're like saying about the South, and he was saying, yeah, he grew up in the South,
right,
and he liked the South and everything, and then
uh,
they were like, then they go, oh, because he said about the N word. He goes, did you ever use the N word?
uh,
And then
right.
he was just like, oh yeah, I use it a lot of times. And they're like, whoa. He's just like, yeah. He's like, that's because he wasn't right. He said, but yeah, I mean, in the past,
uh-huh,
people use it, and
right.
he said, but he didn't be like, oh, it was a different time, and he's like, he just goes, oh yeah, I used it a lot. He said, but he said that it wasn't right. He said, but you know,
Right.
that's the
Wait,
past,
yeah.
and
When you're frank about it and just come out and just say that something happened, and people, that takes a lot of the sting out of it. When they see that you don't care,
yeah,
then they no longer have a weapon to use against you.
yeah,
It's like Sean Connery. When Sean Connery, this is years ago, back in the '80s, and um, they he was being interviewed, and they were asking about his wife, and he said that if she gets out of line, I just give her a good smack. And he just said it like completely matter of factly, like it's just like like he just like drank a glass of orange juice or something, like it was no big thing. I'll just give her a good smack every once in a while. And they try to make a big deal out of it, and he didn't care. and my mom, that when he said that, that just made her love him that much more because he didn't care. And she was already a big Sean Connery fan, and we were watching that interview live. I think it was on 2020 at the time, and
Yeah.
and she started laughing when he said that. She said, "I love Sean Connery."
Yeah. I remember seeing that one. It was like was it an interview from like the early 80s
Yeah,
or
it was
late?
the 80s. It was like, I don't know, like 84, 85. I can't remember. It was like mid 80s, I think.
Yeah, he's like, sometimes you need a little schmuck, and he's like, I'm like, whoa. And
I
it's
was
like,
like, what?
yeah, I was like, even then, I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like,
Yeah,
dang.
that was my reaction. My mom started laughing. It's like, oh, dang.
No, but yeah, it's funny is um yeah, there's certain things that I watch even in
Mhm.
shows, cartoons, and all this stuff I'm watching. I'm like, whoa, they would not get away with that nowadays,
Oh, yeah, none of the
you know?
stuff
And I
nowadays.
was just
Yeah,
like, but it's funny as watching it. I'm like, really, how big of a deal was it? Um, when you look back, but even see it for me, I go against the grain, but even so, I still find myself kind of like feeling that like, whoa, that tension from certain things from the past that I didn't think I had a problem with,
right.
but because of the way society is kind of
Yeah,
training people to think, it has
exactly.
even an effect on me where,
Of course.
what the heck? Why am I feeling uncomfortable right now? And it's like,
Hmm.
it's not because I even really agree that it's wrong or something. I'm just like, I could sense that that's the culture. It says it's wrong,
The
right?
brainwashing is working, Matt. The brainwashing is
Yeah,
working.
it
Let
is.
it
It is. It's like it's an inundation
let it
every
flow
day.
through you. Submit,
But
obey,
see, if it's happening to
consume.
me, that's why I'm like, I could sense it happening to me, and I'm aware of it.
Stop resisting, Matt. Just
Think of
give
all the people
into
who
it.
don't know. Yeah, see all the people who
Soon,
don't
Matt.
know that.
Soon.
Sumat.
Biden 2024, Matt.
Oh, did you hear about that? I don't know how true this is because you hear a lot of
It's
things.
true. You know it's true.
Well, it's like they said something about him, like I don't know. I might not go that way. I'll try to keep it
Search your
clean.
feelings. You know in your heart it's true.
Yeah, no.
No, it's impossible.
That's I
No,
like
it's
that build up.
not.
I
You
like
know
that
it's
build
true. You
up
talking about the
where he's like,
Vatican?
yeah.
It's
You knew that,
true.
didn't you?
You know it's true.
Yeah. I only hear snippets, and I'm like, what just happened? Yeah,
Yeah, that just happened. That just happened.
but it makes sense because remember what he said before, the
Of course,
rant
of
before
course
the
they do.
war.
Yeah.
I was like,
Hmm.
what the heck is going on?
Yeah. You can always depend on Joe Biden.
Yeah. Even,
Get it? Get it?
oh, I get it. Yeah.
But I'm dumb.
like Becky would be like, that's a dad joke. I'm like,
I'm
yes,
old
it
enough to
was.
be a dad, so.
Unabashedly and unashamedly. What's wrong with dad jokes?
Uh, my dad liked dad jokes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But yeah, it's funny is I watched an interview with Dirk Benedict who played Face on the A Team.
oh yeah.
I watched an interview with him, and he was like, these fans of his from Australia came running up to interview him. He was at a hotel,
Uh,
and he was
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, "Oh no, what's this?" Yeah, and he
Uh-huh.
thought it was because it's to find out he doesn't like the media and he doesn't like what they're doing today.
Oh yeah.
And he was kind of leery to talk to these guys, but when he was talking to him, he was like, "Well, yeah, he said the A Team was a show for little boys to show them how to be men."
Oh yeah. That's great.
And I
Love
was
the
like,
18.
"Yeah," and I'm like, "Dude, that's awesome, man, that you say that." And
Yeah.
but it's funny is like what cracks me up is that anything that like saying anything remotely like that would be offensive in any way is even laughable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like what's wrong with little boys having shows that show them how to be little boys.
Right. I mean the whole decade of the 80s was showing little boys how to be men.
Yeah, how to be men.
You
Yeah,
know? I mean,
yeah,
all the movies, everything from the Terminator to the Rocky movies to and the whole Thundercats, the whole thing is GI Joe. The whole freaking decade was it might as well be called, instructing boys how to be men.
Yeah.
Very very masculine decade. So other than the short shorts were not very masculine, and the hair was questionable as well, and also glam rock was not very masculine, and Boy George. Okay, so it's partially masculine.
Well,
It's a partially
those
masculine
things were
decade.
being rejected at the time, though, too, right?
Say again, what?
But those things were being rejected at the time, though, too, during that time. Like, it
Nah,
wasn't,
they
you know, I
weren't.
mean, people weren't like, yeah, right, Boy George. People were like, oh, gosh.
No, Boy George was pretty popular in the '80s. I mean,
yeah,
he was.
but I mean, not with, like, a lot of people. Because, like, my uncle, that song would come on the radio, and he'd be like,
Yeah.
do you really want to hurt me? And my uncle would be like, yes, I
do. Really?
He'd be like, yes, I do.
Like, stop. No.
He'd always crack us up. Do you want to hurt me? Yes, I do. And like, we'd always laugh because he'd be like, he's one of those manly guys.
Funny. Yeah. But no, I mean, all that stuff was actually pretty big back then. I mean, everyone from, like, Prince, who was pretty effeminate, as far as rock stars go. But he was obviously very heterosexual. But he
got all the women. That's why it was okay.
He had all the women. That was the thing. It was so funny because you look at him, it's like this guy looks so foo-foo, but he had every hot chick, that came within half a mile of him. It was so funny. But that's why everyone loved him, because it was all just surface stuff. He was like just a great performer, great artist, and just a really cool guy. And it's 80s was a very interesting decade. I think it was a decade of extremes. He had crazy hyper masculine stuff like the movies with Schwarzenegger and Van Damme and stuff. And then on the other side, you had Boy George and, like, guys like wearing makeup and and lip gloss and stuff. It was a funky decade.
Yeah, you had the same type of progressive left message in some of the films where, you would have characters at least that would pop up. Like, for instance, in Cobra with Sylvester Stallone, you had characters pop up who were like, you're just about violence and you don't care about, people's rights and everything,
Oh.
And the character would be like, hey, he just saved people from a hostage situation. What are you jumping on him
right.
for,
Yeah, but now, those were the bad guys. Now those are
the so-called heroes, right? The guys who were like complaining about, those poor little murderers were about to kill someone. But
exactly.
It's like, what? But back then you knew in the story, you're like, that guy's an idiot,
Yeah.
But now it's like that is become
the
like
idiots are in charge now.
Yeah. They said the asylum has been run by the inmates now, or the
inmates have taken over the asylum. Yeah, running the asylum.
Oh man. Strange times we're living in now, though. I mean, you think it was weird in the 80s?
Oh yeah, no, it's This is a Twilight Zone time now.
Well, that's what I try to tell. Like I was talking about, like I said, in Drawn Quarter, people get a little heated. Even though people agree with me on most stuff, they get heated because they're like, I'm like, dude, if things were different, right? And but there's people who will go, well, no, nothing was different. It was always the same. And I'm like, no, definitely things were different.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? They were different. I mean, there's certain similarities, obviously, certain things that were happening, but not maybe in the same, they weren't taking the lead, right? They were kind of like fringe. There's always people complaining about violence and sex in movies. And
of course. Yeah.
There's always that type of thing, but they became like the norm now. Before it was just like, oh, there's always someone complaining. Now it's like, yes, we all complain about it.
I mean, back in the 80s, you had like Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife. She was big on putting warning labels on CDs and stuff because of violent content. And,
she was the one that started that?
Yeah, she's the one who started that. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And she had a point, because there was a lot of stuff in albums and in popular culture that you wouldn't want your 8-year-old listening to. You wouldn't want your your 10-year-old to be watching in movies and stuff. And so, you know, those more, I mean, like PG-13, that's when PG-13 came around in the 1980s, because there's a lot of content in PG movies that probably should have been rated R, but they were rated PG instead. And so PG-13 was their way of sort of defining, you know, putting in like a happy medium between sort of like the really sort of bloody stuff in rated R movies and the more genteel things that you might find in a PG movie. Because like when I was 10, I saw Clash of the Titans, you know, the classic mythology movie.
Yeah.
With Medusa and stuff. You know, there was full frontal nudity in that movie. It's PG.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. You know, the first time I saw breasts in a movie, I was like, oh, cool. I like this movie. My mom took me. She was shocked. I was like, hey, thanks for taking me to this movie, Mom. I love it.
My
But,
mom would
you know,
my eyes if something like that happened. She'd be like, "Don't look."
yeah, I dodged her hand. I was like, oh, cool. What is that? But, you know, today, it wouldn't even be PG-13 because you can't show breasts in a PG-13 movie. Women's breasts. I mean, you can't. That would be a rated R movie today.
Yeah.
Just because of the nudity in it. But so I mean, the things like the Tipper Gore sort of Karen effect. I call it Karen effect because, you know, sort of busybody, interference with art, so to speak. And I'm trying not to. I don't mean that in a bad way, because in a sense, I agree with it. I mean, I think there should be boundaries in terms of what kids can and cannot watch in terms of popular culture. But it's just been dialed up to like 20 nowadays, you know, where, you know, back in the 80s, you had people like Tipper Gore who sort of championed limiting what kids could watch. Nowadays, you have mobs, again, Twitter mobs or social media mobs, because of social media pretty much gives everyone a level playing field in terms of being able to get their voice out there. You have mobs of people not just trying to limit what children can see, but what anyone can see, what anyone can do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's reached to a point of near totalitarianism. You know, it's authoritarianism right now, but I mean, they want to actually have the government get involved and punish people who do things that they don't like.
Yeah.
And that is dangerous. I mean, Tipper Gore may have been annoying to some people, but the people who are active nowadays trying to censor, you know, books, movies, you know, free speech, freedom of expression. I mean, these people are outright dangerous because they want anyone who disagrees with them labeled as terrorists, labeled as bigots, or whatever. You know, with the weight of the government behind them to punish anyone that they target, and that's far more dangerous to our society than someone like Tipper Gore or someone like you know, Dr. Wortham back in the 50s with comic books, you know, ever were. You know, so.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. It's insane that you were seeing it happen so fast too. I mean, there was always people on the fringe, like, but then all of a sudden they kind of moved up to the front.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, someone that the authority that we have to answer to, which is crazy, because then you see what else, other things those same people are into, and you're like, whoa, wait a second.
Right.
This is not the kind of person that should be calling the shots for anything.
Exactly.
You know, these people are messed up.
Yeah. It's like the things that I'm into should be allowed, but the things that you are into should be destroyed, and you should be crushed. And your family should be thrown into a gulag, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to watch cartoons.
Yeah.
I just want to see what's his name? Johnny was that cartoon character back in the '60s? Johnny Quest. I
Johnny
just want to
Quest,
see.
yeah,
I just want to see Johnny Quest shoot a submachine gun again. Back when
yeah,
like he did back in the '60s.
yeah, yeah.
So that was a
Uh,
great show. I love that show.
Johnny Quest, yeah, man, that's classic. Did Alex Toth work on that or no? I don't know if you're
Alec
familiar with.
Toth. No, I think that was um what was his name? It wasn't Alec. Alec Toth worked on like Space Ghost, Herculoids, Fantastic Four. No, he did work on Johnny Quest because I have a book of his. It's called Alec Toth by Design. I got it back in the
Yeah,
'90s.
I have that one
Um,
too.
oh, you have it? Oh,
Yeah.
cool. You want the few and the proud. I looked it up on eBay and it's like they're selling it for like $400 or something.
Oh my
It's like,
god.
I got it for 1995. Ha ha. 1996. Oh no, he did work on it. He did work on Johnny Quest. Because they have design. Oh, I can just actually show you because I'm on your live stream. Here's the book. It's Alec Toth by Design, and I probably shouldn't be. Well, I'll do it anyway. Oh, cool. Got drawings of Batman. Batman. But it has all the character designs for the various animated shows they worked on. This is Dr. Singh from Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
And oh, here he is. Here are the model sheets.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go.
So he designed.
That was for the comic, you said, right?
No, this is for the animated cartoon.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he has all those.
he's definitely one of my favorites, man.
Yeah, yeah, great artist, great animator. Oh, and this entire book, he wrote it longhand. You know, this is all his handwriting. The whole book is
Yeah,
filled with it.
yeah,
So
man.
he
I did some work for the timesheet of comic I did was with one of the editors of IDW, and he gave me
uh-huh.
like all of the Alex Toth art books
Oh
because
wow, cool.
yeah, for free. I was like, oh man, and they're like the best. Yeah, look at that. That is awesome.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff. I mean, the guy is a great creator. This is stuff from Gulliver's Travels, or
Oh
is this
yeah, yeah.
this might have been from the Three Musketeers. I can't remember.
Oh,
Yes, it's Three
cool.
Musketeers. Yeah. So just a great artist. But I mean, from what I hear, he was just like extremely a real curmudgeon. Really, really hard to deal with because he was very particular about what he wanted, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
I heard from some people who knew him that
yeah,
that he was very adamant about different things in art, but in his
yeah.
later years when he became more kind of like a closed in because he lost his wife, like she died, and he just kind of
Oh
like
wow,
closed himself off from everybody.
wow,
And I was
that's a
like,
shame.
man, yeah, because his wife was kind of like he was always kind of like he was married a couple of times, but his
Uh huh.
last wife was really sweet. He got along with her and
Mm,
it was good. And then when she passed away, it was kind of like kind of everything
yeah.
he kind of hid himself away from everybody.
She's probably his buffer.
Yeah,
She's probably softened all of his hard edges.
yeah, she was. I guess she was really sweet and natured
uh,
and just like yeah. And when she was gone, it was just like I know how that is though, because like my mom
sort of
was
like
that.
Becky and you.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, my
Becky's really
mom
sweet, and she keeps you from being like the angry grump that you really are. Yeah.
actually she does help out because there's times when I want to say something, and she's like, Matt, you know,
Uh huh.
and I go,
God
yeah.
bless Becky.
She's like, you got to walk in love, and I go, you're right, you're right.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. God bless Becky.
Yeah.
She's saving all of us from Matt's wrath. You gotta take good care of Becky. Make sure that otherwise we're gonna end up with Matt's gonna if Becky's ever gone, Matt's gonna end up running for president. He'll end up being a dictator. It's like no.
You're all gonna pay.
If I can't be happy, nobody can.
Yeah, right. Remember how hard it was the last decade? It's gonna be
Oh
even harder.
man. Oh no. We're gonna
No,
be.
but
We're gonna be.
it's funny. What is
Uh,
Andy? What Andy's? I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to catch up on comments. I just realized I was looking at some of these.
Oh, sorry.
Amy Lester. Oh, God bless you, Becky.
Seriously.
Oh,
Amy
man.
knows.
Yeah, there's times where I remember this is another. Oh, I love that cover, man. That's cool.
Oh yeah, it's very cool.
That is awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
here's the back cover. Super Friends.
see what it is. I think they redid that book in a hardbound, and it's like
Oh,
in the,
really?
but they re-edited added stuff in or whatever. It's I don't have that book in particular. I have
Okay.
the newer one. The newer one. That's the old one.
Okay. Yeah, this is the original edition.
Yeah, look at that. See that? That's all writing that he did.
Oh yeah, it's all handwriting. Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff is so. I'm telling you, if you don't know who Alex Toth is and you're not familiar with the stuff, man, look into his art. I'm telling you, it's just like it's so strong. He's the most talked about artist in among American comic artists. Like almost every comic artist you
Yeah.
talk to knows who he is.
Yeah.
Or somehow influenced by his work because it's so strong. I mean, look at
Mm-hmm.
the layouts that he does there. He's that long. I love that use of black and white space he uses in the composition.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The close-ups and it was funny. He used to do these really small postage size drawings, like
Yeah.
on one sheet of paper, and I was like, "Why is he doing that? This doesn't make sense to me." It wasn't until like a year later, I'm drawing, I realized the reason he did that is because as a comic artist, you draw tons of small panels and drawings, and he's trying to figure out how much he can get away with not drawing and make it still
Yeah.
look like what it's supposed to look.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
look at
blown away.
Yeah, he's explaining it on all these pages, like how animation works, and
Yeah.
and he's like writing all this longhand instead of just typing it out. It's like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, speaking of animation, since
Yeah.
Amy Lester is here, I was going to show you. I have that Flip-A-Clip. She was talking about Flip-A-Clip.
Yeah.
Here, I was going to show you some animations I did on it. Just
Yeah. Show me.
it's just some sketchy. It's like sketch animation. So for fun, it's basically my sketchbook for animation. So let's see. I'm trying to figure out how I can show this. Here we go. Here. Okay. And I'm going to let's see. Okay. I'll go to the full screen. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And oh wait, I gotta go to camera. Okay, and then stop share screen. Oops. There we go. Here we go. How can you see that?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, now let me see. I'm gonna try to wait. Okay, there we go. Is that coming in okay or?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
I got some this is my walk one I did.
Oh boy.
Yeah, let's see. Here we go.
Look at the figure. I'm scared. Go ahead. Oh, nice. Wow, that's cool.
And I was practicing because I want to get the walk down. And
yeah.
Let's see. I did a Zatoichi one. It's a Japanese blind samurai. Here, let's wait.
You know what I used to do when I was a kid?
What?
I'd videotape Thundercats, okay? And then I would go frame by frame by hitting the pause button, and I copy each frame up from the opening sequence of Thundercats. And I make a flip book out of it.
That's awesome. Here's a rough.
What program is that?
Flip-A-Clip.
Is that free?
Yeah. I think
does that work with a Mac? Flip? Oh wow, that's cool. Is that your character?
That's the time sheet I did, graphic novel.
Yeah, what was it called? Time Tiger or what? What was it called?
A Time Cheetah.
Time Cheetah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So let's see here. This one. This is really bad. This is my first one I ever did. I did it with some background. You can add background into this. Look at how.
Oh wow.
So I added a background. I didn't finish this. I was just doing it for fun. Look at this.
That is. Oh whoa! Oh, cool. It's John Carter from Mars.
Yeah, whoa! I had a bicycle kicking around, like jumping.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's what you can do with this. You can add in background images.
It's
And,
called Flip a Clip.
Yeah. See right here. Can you? What did I do? What did I do? Here we go.
I'm gonna look it up.
Let's see. Can you make that out?
See? Yeah, I see it. I got it.
Flip a clip. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm going to read the comments. I'm thinking Amy might be talking about this.
Huh.
Because it's a good. Share screen.
Okay, I posted the link in the chat.
Cool.
Yeah, so everybody check that out. I'm gonna check it out when I leave the stream. Looks really neat.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's like I use it on a tablet, and it's basically I call it a portable. It's like a portable sketchbook, right? But it's like you can do animation sketchbook basically as well. And you could do like probably even more finished stuff, but I just do sketch work on there to kind of just to get the feeling of motion down and everything. And
yeah, very cool, Matt. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, that was old stuff too. That was like a couple years old, but I'm gonna start trying to get back and using it again.
Yeah, seriously, make some new stuff. And actually, put that stuff.
Yeah.
Are you able to save those as like video files?
Here, let me see. Is Amy? She says she has Flip a Clip on her phone, and exports GIFs pretty well on her phone. So I'm not sure. It might. I wonder if it makes MP4s or whatever. That'd be cool if it did.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people would love to see that stuff. You like put it on Twitter or Facebook.
I'm assuming that you can, because this is a new. It downloaded a newer one. I haven't used it. It looks different than when I first downloaded it. But they have contest moving. But I'm assuming you can pay for one. I have the free one because it has ads pop up once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah, you can export videos and sound. She says. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try that out because get back into it. Like I said, I did. I downloaded. You have to pay monthly, but I downloaded. What's it called? Storyboard Pro, and that's what I was doing.
Storyboard Pro. Okay.
Yeah, and you pay a monthly fee. I only downloaded it for a few months when I was working for Warner Brothers Animation doing stuff. But that you can actually do like really cool animation in it too. I mean, cool. It's like really something. But I used Flip a Clip first, which helped me kind of, I think, and work on that one later on.
Yeah.
So I kind of got the idea of how onion skins work and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool.
But hey, I probably should be wrapping up. I think it's already the 2-hour mark. I was only doing an hour, but it ended up being 2. We got talking. And
Sorry about that. Fun.
No, it was good.
You messed up your plans.
No, because I'm just still working, so I'm getting work done.
Okay,
but no, it's good. I'm gonna get something to eat. I haven't eaten yet. But thanks for coming on too, man. Good chatting with you.
My pleasure.
And
great talking to you too.
And so, everybody, your Jimmy or Jason, his link actually to his YouTube is in the description. So go check that out. Got his information, everything in there. And same thing with Amy Lester and her sister. I got a link in there for them. Check out their website. They do animation stuff together, video game stuff. I think video game animation. But check out all of these talented people. And thanks for coming on, stopping by, everybody, and chatting with us too. Sorry we didn't get to all the comments. We got going talking. But, it's free to subscribe. So subscribe to this channel, subscribe to Jason's, and the Lester sisters. They have one too. I couldn't find one. I know they have a channel. They're actually commenting on YouTube. So
I hope they do.
Check
I love to see their content. Lester sisters, if you have a channel, please let us know so we can go and subscribe to you.
Definitely. You post it. If you don't post it in the live chat, post it in the comments later as it's they post the video as a replay. But thanks everybody for stopping by. Have a great Monday. Have a great rest of the week, and maybe I'll do another live stream on my channel,
Yeah.
or maybe Jason will do one. I'll jump on his. But yeah, thanks a lot, everybody, and check out Twitter. I'm back on Instagram, by the way. I was down.
Oh yay!
So check
You're out
that
of Twitter jail.
Yeah,
and
I'm out.
Instagram jail.
Instagram jail, yeah. They let me out for good behavior. So check that out.
They're going to regret it soon. You guys take care.
Take it easy, guys. Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.